Alright, back to this. You saw a little glimpse of what we were doing before went to watch the pilot deploy. Which ways? There it is. Okay. As we push against landing gear, we start to induce thrust. A lot of thrust. A lot of thrust. How much thrust? Sorry, had to throttle down for a second just to pin that. And we can go ahead and throttle back up. It seems to be working fairly well. 16 Gs of thrust. And then if we go back and look at the map, you can see that if we zoom out, we're getting this huge amount of delta V and performance to pretty much anywhere we want at the cost of nothing. This is extremely unrealistic, and only works in KSP because of a glitch in the game engine, where if you push against the landing gear enough with, in this case, a grip pad on some pistons, it will cause an obscene amount of thrust. Because reasons. This actually isn't new. It's been around for years. This idea's been around for years, but recently with the robotic update they put out, the DLC that had the robotic parts like these pistons, you can now, and they also included same vessel interaction in one of the updates. I think maybe it might have been the same update. You can now throttle them. In this case, throttle them from this one from less than 1 G of acceleration at 3.9 extension, all the way up to 16 Gs. And of course, since that costs absolutely nothing in terms of anything, any kind of resource or fuel or anything, you can do that as long as you want, or as long as the drive, lasts. These things aren't exactly the most reliable yet. Although, it should be noted that I think it was yesterday, the day before, took one of exactly the same, or almost exactly the same design as this one, from Minmus, low Kerbal orbit to Minmus and back to Joule, and I only lost one of the landing gear, and that was because of some random glitch where it just randomly and magically teleported outside of the ship. So yeah, let's see how long it takes to get to Minmus now. It normally takes about 20 days to get there. It's going to take me 30 minutes to get there. So yeah, it doesn't mean that much in this game, although if you're trying to go out to Eeloo or maybe something like that, just for fun, let's try and set up an encounter to get to Eeloo. See how long it takes. Oh, by the way, we're only going 24,000 meters per second. And that's actually pretty slow for this thing. You can get up to 100,000, 200,000 meters per second, no problem. We'll go ahead and slow down. Well, I actually haven't tried going after Eeloo yet. Farthest I've been is Jewel. It shouldn't take any longer to get to Eeloo than it would to get to Jewel. Actually, it will. It took me 35 days to get to Jewel at 100 kilometers per second. 100 kilometers per second. 40 to 50 days should be easy at 100 kilometers per second. If we manage to get to 200 kilometers per second, then, you know, it would be like 25 days to get to Eeloo. It's something that would take like 50 years if you use regular rockets to get out there. Yeah, the closest thing to this in real life would be warp drive, I guess, but this actually doesn't go faster than light speed. If you really wanted to, it could eventually go faster than light, but it would take, I think, yeah, someone did the math on this, and at 20 Gs of constant acceleration, which mine doesn't even do, mine only does 16, it would take 26 days to reach light speed. And it should be noted that you cannot accelerate time while using this, because it just it just doesn't work. Fortunately, you don't need to use time warp while using this, because you're going so fast you don't really need to, unless you're doing a until you're going fast enough you can just coast there in a few minutes. Now, as I was saying, it doesn't really mean much in this game, in KSP1, because everything's fairly close together, and it's probably easier to make a rocket that can just go to Duna or Dres or Jewel or even Eeloo with regular rocket engines than it is to make one of these, because as you can see, it's kind of complicated. But if you can figure out how to make one of these, which it's really not that hard when you understand what needs to be done. And this is actually a fairly simple one that requires that relies heavily on using lots and lots of SAS wheels. You can actually get... Okay, Nibbles. You can actually get it's probably me. I'll turn it down to 720p when we come back for Sims, for the Sims. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, this relies heavily on using SAS wheels, but if you can spin them, have two drives spinning in opposite directions, then the forces, these cause a huge amount of torque. I'll show you if I turn SAS off. See, they cause a huge amount of torque, and it just spins off like that. That's actually not a whole lot of torque. I thought it would be more than that, but still, an insane amount of torque. But if you spin the drives in opposite directions, say have one spinning clockwise this way and another spinning counterclockwise this way, the torque will balance it'll spin stabilize the torque, and so you won't need very many of these reaction wheels. You can get away with like 1 instead of however many that is, which is a lot. That also means you won't need anywhere near as much battery, because it won't use as much power, because it won't be fighting the torque with all these reaction wheels. All you'll be using is the power of that one reaction wheel and the pistons pushing against the landing legs. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, we're almost back. Let's go ahead and recapture. We just recaptured. So yeah, let's change our target to Eeloo. Set as the target. Point towards the target. This is how easy it is to use. So Eeloo's off that direction, a very long way away. It'll take a very long time to get there with regular rockets, but oh wait, we don't have regular rockets. We have this thing. Alright. So now, if we look, it'll still take a while to speed up, but unless you got a drive that can do 20 or 25 Gs. But yeah, it won't take nearly as long as just... Well, first off, your thrust is way higher than any rocket engine could ever hope to be in this game. Unless you're using one of the biggest rocket engines with only a little fuel tank that's going to run out after about 2 seconds. And your efficiency is basically infinity. So you can burn it as long as it'll last, as long as the drive will physically withstand the abuse of using it. And by the way, I made it so this can be replaced and fly if necessary. Hopefully it won't ever be necessary. Hopefully I'll get to the point where it'll be so reliable that it won't need to be replaced. I've rated it as good on a 30 to 40 day mission, which saw me go out to Jewel, so... I'm going to go ahead and speed up to about 150,000 meters per second. That should get us up to Eeloo fairly quickly. This is just a prototype anyway, I can make a better one. One that probably goes a little faster. Although it should be noted that for some reason, these don't scale very well. What I mean by that is, if you take this and put 2 more on the side, it actually goes slower, but it is more stable. Well, usually more stable. I'm not entirely sure why. It's actually way more unstable when you're close to a planet, but way more stable when you're out here away from a planet. I'm not entirely sure why that is. It's just weird. How close are we to the sphere of influence, actually? Something else that needs to be said. Oh, we're not that close. Something else needs to be said. you do not ever use these when you're crossing a sphere of influence. Like when you're approaching the moon, Minmus, or leaving Kerbin, or one of those moons. Never have the drive engaged when you're crossing one of the borders, because it explodes. I'm not sure why, but it explodes. Yeah, as you can see, we're getting out there. How long will it take us to reach there? 192 days. That is way too long. We can do that in like 20 if we waited long enough. We could do it in 30 minutes if we waited long enough. It would take a heck of a long time to slow down. That's something else you have to take into account. You have to slow down afterwards. Yes, and because even this drive cannot ignore the fact that you have to it can't ignore, even though it defies Newton's second law, and actually the third law as well, I guess. It honestly just defies all of Newton's laws, but you still have to slow down. You have to put as much energy slowing down as you did speeding up. It obeys that law of physics, even though it completely ignores all the other ones. Yeah, they've been like 16 Gs of acceleration for quite a while, but I'm sure they're fine. Notice the speed. We're at 56,000 meters per second. Actually, I forgot that Eeloo was at that high of an inclination. I'm going to adjust this orbit anyway. Once I get to about 150,000 meters per second, I'll stop and then adjust the orbit. I'll put another one out here where I do this basically, and adjust the orbit like that. I'll do that, and then that'll put us on a intercept with Eeloo. You still have to do two burns with this. Well, you don't have to do 2 burns with this, but it's still better if you do it that way. Because even with all these reaction wheels, it's not exactly the best at pointing in the right direction. It's probably my next phase for this, the counter-rotating inline drives. Those are really cool. Way more complicated than this. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. Just had to make sure I didn't have infinite electricity on, because I wasn't using electric charge, but that's probably because of all those. Yeah, I mean, it's not as fast as it used to be. When this was stripped down with just this and the drive, it didn't even have fuel at the beginning. When I was developing it, it was literally just the cockpit and the drive section as a prototype rig. It would go at like 25 Gs. It was fast. Then of course you can just test the drive on its own. It'll go even faster then. And of course you can throttle back. And we're still accelerating at 3.3 Gs. Doesn't look like we're moving, but we're still going faster. And we can see Kerbin going back in the background. Not time warped at all. I kind of want to fly by a planet really fast at 83 kilometers per second just to see what it looks like. We'll do that with Eeloo. We'll fly by it at like 150 kilometers per second and see what it looks like. And then we'll loop around and capture there. You could even land with this. I wouldn't recommend. I tried landing with this, and it. Well, let's just say I crashed it, and it didn't really work very well. And since that's the only propulsion system for this thing, I was. It didn't break any part of the ship. It literally just broke the reactor rods, the landing gear. It just broke that. Didn't break anything else. It just broke the only thing that I needed to work. The one thing that it needed to work, and that's what broke. We'll keep going until 100,000 meters per second, then we'll adjust the orbit. Let's see, how long will it take now? 69 days. Still not fast enough. It's actually a fairly functional ship, to be honest. If I can get the version that I have where it's 3, well, it's 2 of these on each side with one payload bay open, with this being the same, that would be a very very capable ship with huge cargo capacity, both in terms of size and payload mass. Because there is a limit of weight you can push with this thing before it starts to break. Because the thing is, you have to custom build these things. You basically have to custom build them for the amount of mass you want to push, because they do not scale well with mass. If I took this thing and put one of them in a ship like 3 or 4 times this size, it would probably just break instantly. There we go, 100,000. We can just stop. And then, how long will it take at this speed? 50 days. It's about where I said it was, wasn't it? I think it said 40 to 50 days. There we are. I'll speed up after we, Oh right, I can't do that because they're knocked out. There we go. Focus view. We're gonna want to aim to where Eeloo's gonna be in 50 days or so, which isn't gonna be very far ahead. There we go. We have an encounter. Oops. There we go. Really? That's all it needs? 6 kilometers per second delta V? Compared to what I've already put in, that's nothing. Right then, just point at the node. Warp to the node. And then we'll... It's not going to take 5 minutes. It's acting like I'm going to do the burn with these engines, which I'm not. First off, I don't have the fuel for that. Nor do I have the thrust, because it'll take 5 minutes to do that. Well, 4 minutes. Well, no, 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do is 6 kilometers per second. It's hard to, it's when it comes to timing burns, it's the hard part, because until you become really familiar with how these drives work, it's hard to judge how long a burn will take. I'll give myself about 30 seconds. Oops, I vastly overshot by an hour. Huh. Well, it shouldn't make a difference. We're going to want it to be sort of accurate, so I'll throttle down to 4 point... throttle down to 7 Gs. Nah. Throttle up to 10 Gs. Whatever. It'll put us in the ballpark. When it comes to this drive, you don't have any efficiency to worry about losing, so... You can just make as many burns as you want until you get it right. Whoops. Yeah, this thing has obscene thrust, and it also has very low amounts of thrust. It's very highly throttleable. You can even make one hover under gravity at the Space Center. If you configure a drive just right, so that one of these nodes is at, or even if you configure the throttle, which I haven't bothered doing because I don't have any need to. They're back, so you can do that. You can basically make it so it's exactly at 1 G of acceleration to counteract the 1 G of acceleration pointing downwards from Kerbin's gravity, and that'll give you levitation, basically. Let's point prograde and go faster. Because who wants to spend 60 days getting out here? It's still got a bit of torque problem, but that can be solved by doing the inline rotation, the inline spinning drive, or the or just adding more of these. I have noticed that for some odd reason, and I'm not sure what it is, I've been watching the acceleration this whole time, And it seems that I'm getting lower thrust the further I get away from the sun. Not by a lot, but you'll notice, if you remember, I got just over 16 Gs when I left Kerbin, and now I'm at 15.5. And so now we just accelerate. Well, I don't have any control, so accelerate is what we're going to do until I turn the throttle off. How are we looking? Yeah, well, we're still in the right ballpark. That's easy enough to adjust later. Alright, I should probably change over from the... Messing with Kraken Drives in KSP. Kerbal Space Program. Update information. And we're just casually going 120,000 meters per second now. Getting mine up there, right on up there at about 130,000 meters per second now. How long will it take to get there now? 40 days. We can get that down even further. Yeah, like I said before, it will take an equal amount of time to slow down once we're out there. And if we didn't slow down, we'd just keep going. We're well beyond the escape velocity of the sun, so... So if we didn't stop, or slow down, then we'd keep going forever. Until it just despawned, because it's gone outside the universe play box or whatever it is. We'll go to 150. 150 should give us probably about 30 days of travel time. You know what? To be honest, I'll just go. I won't even bother slowing down. I'll just go right by it at 150 kilometers per second, just to see what it's like. Well, they're not passed out in there. I guess I never never got around to doing a animation for being passed out when you look inside the cockpit. Oh, we're past 150. Now, I don't think KSP takes relativity into account, but at this speed, they'd probably start experiencing some relativistic effects. Chief of which would be aging younger than the Kerbals back on Kerbin. Or aging slower, or is it faster? I don't know. They'd age differently. Because relativity is weird. When you go really fast, things start getting really weird. It wouldn't be, even at this speed, it wouldn't be enough to notice, probably, but it'd be more than... Oh yeah, they haven't come out of the comas yet. There we go. But even at this speed, it wouldn't be, it'd be noticeable. Well, not noticeable, but it'd be enough to notice with instrumentation, stuff like that. Okay, we need to add a little bit of this. We got too far. Haven't gone far enough up. That's the thing. I'm just trying to find the right node. There we go. I'm probably not going to be able to do this from this distance with the drive. I'll probably have to use the monopropellant engine for the really fine control. Yeah, let's buzz Eeloo at 12 kilometers at 150 kilometers per second. That sounds like a good time. Let's go ahead and do it now. I don't think it matters. We got some roll going on. Why do we have roll? Come to stop. Time to make sure the engine's in good shape. Looks alright. Sometimes it just be like that. It should be noted these things are still highly experimental. I don't have any idea why or how or what these things are doing. I just know how to use them and how to make them. Well, I know why they work, but and how they work. I just don't know all the intricacies of how these things work. I guess I have my own form of spin stabilization going on. Let's start burning through this burn time. Oh, I kind of overshot a little bit. I already burned through the burn time. We can take a little bit more time off. 3.9. Okay, from here on, I will use the monopropellant engines. And that's what those are for. That's why they exist. That's the only reason they exist. Well, not the only reason, but things like that are the reason why they exist. The really small adjustments, and of course the rendezvousing with other ships. You don't really want to use this for that. Oh, it looks like we had to make another adjustment. How long will it take to get out there? 33 days. Didn't I estimate about 30? Went the wrong way. This takes a lot of time to get right, to set up right, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be well worth it if I can nail it. Oh, I would love to go at like less than a kilometer from the surface, but I'm pretty sure I'll hit a mountain. I'm gonna target like 5 kilometers, something like that. You know, that's probably a bad idea. I'll do 10 or 20 or something. There we go. I'll do half that. I'll do most of this burn with the Kraken Drive, and then I'll do the rest of it with the regular engines. Look how fast the sun's moving. We just... How far do we go in that time period? In that quick... Like, that quick time warp? Went from, like, here to there. A time period of, like, 6 months. Regular time. Or something that took, like, 6 months in regular time. With a regular engine, with regular rocketry. We did it in like a day. 4 days. We'll set it to that. It's gonna take longer, but it's gonna be more precise, hopefully. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. Now from here, I'm gonna use the engines. Good. Okay, those are loud. I did not expect this to be that loud. And of course we can also supplement. Is it a good idea? No. Because, ironically, for whatever reason, having regular engines and this going at the same time leads to lower thrust in the drive. Not sure why, but it does. Set this up right, this will be so worth it. Closer. Let's go ahead and make another one to get it even closer. This one shouldn't need much burn time at all. This will be easy to do on the rocket engines. I'm taking so long to do this, to set this up, because this is going to be so cool and so worth it. Yeah. I'm actually going to use MechJib to do this because I want it to be very accurate. Is auto warp not on? No, it is on. And where did that put us? Exactly where I wanted. This is gonna be cool. I'm gonna go ahead and shut down the drive. Drive has been saved. Well, it hasn't been saved, but you know, it could still work. But it's not going to work because I don't have the window open. after the flyby, I'm probably gonna have to flip around and do a Kraken Drive burn really fast, because I don't want to end up sending these Kerbals out there. I'll probably drop a quick save and then end after this after the encounter. I'll go ahead and set to warp out there. It'll take 30 days to get out there. And look at how fast we're moving across the solar system. You can see the sun get dimmer and dimmer as we go farther and farther out. Can we see Eeloo coming up in the distance? I'm not sure. We're still a day out. It should be just ahead of us, but I don't see it. Anyway. Yeah, we crossed all of that in 34 days. To get to, 34 days to get to Eeloo. Well, 35. There we go. Get that off the screen. Let's warp to the Eeloo encounter. See if we can see Eeloo coming up in the distance. No, I don't see it. I should see it. Is that it? I bet you that's it. Although this far out is probably so dim that you can't. We're still on for the 10 kilometer. Oh yeah. We're only 12 minutes out, by the way. We just entered the sphere of influence and we're only 12 minutes from encountering. Oh wait, we're not even looking at Eeloo. No, we can't see it. Well, to be fair, I can't see it over there either. Wait, yeah, I think that's it there. Let's get closer and find out. Oh yeah, that was it. Let's warp till we're 2 minutes out, and then we'll do it in real time. We'll keep it in real time. This is, from now on, this is all going to be in real time. No warp. No time warp. And this is a flyby of Eeloo at 150 kilometers per second, which is hang on, I'll do the math real quick. It's like something like a 20th the speed of light, something like that. It's a 2,000th the speed of light. Oh, you can actually see it getting closer now. This is gonna be cool. Shall we get a onboard view? Oh, look at how close that. Look how fast that is. That's coming up. This is a 10-kilometer pass too. We're not gonna hit the ground, I think, unless there's a tall mountain, 10-kilometer tall mountain that I don't know about on Eeloo that we're gonna randomly hit. Oh my god, this is real time. That was worth the 40 minutes I spent working on that. Now let's put it around to capture. Or try to capture anyway. We're already that far away. We've got 12 minutes to slow down from 150,000 meters per second. I'm actually not entirely sure we can do that before we exit Eeloo Sphere of Influence. Come on, there we go. Put that there. Let me get the Cal controller. So yeah, like I said before, this is horribly unrealistic, but it's a lot of fun to work with, and it'll be really, really useful in KSP2 if the mechanism to do this still exists in that game, which it should, because it's using the same game engine, and because it's a game engine bug. So it really can't be patched out, I don't think. And to be honest, it's part of the game at this point. The developers embraced it, so they've had more than an ample opportunity to get rid of it, but they've kept it. They've actually even referenced it in the developer notes. Oh, look at that! Look at that! The escape time is not changing. Well, it's not changing very quickly. That means we're probably gonna be able to capture before we leave this sphere of influence. Actually, you know, it might not, but It'll be close. We'll be close enough. I wish I could accelerate into warp. That would make this a lot less tedious. It's still tedious to get out here, but at least it doesn't take the days, if not weeks, of engineering a huge rocket and the probably equal amount of time that I just took to in a actual flight time at maximum warp. Actually, way longer at maximum warp. It'd probably take like 40 minutes at maximum warp just to get out here. Look. Time to escape is increasing. We're gonna capture. As long as I don't touch the throttle, we're gonna capture. And we're just now about to pass under 100,000 meters per second. Oh, we added about 10 seconds. Yeah, it's coming down nicely now. Now in a like something. If I were to use this in like an actual save, this is like it's a sandbox save, so I don't really care about totally breaking the laws of physics. I wouldn't have this many RTGs on here. I'd have enough so that I'd have enough so that I wouldn't be able to have constantly topped up electric charge. I'd make it so that using this would, you know, still obey physics, and you wouldn't be able to do anything with it. I'd make it so that burns like this wouldn't be possible in one sitting. Is it acceptable to call them burns even if you're not burning anything? I'll call them maneuvers, I guess. I can't call them like a reaction or anything because there's nothing reacting. It's just these pushing against this, and it makes a really good engine. I'm impressed with the reliability of this right now. This engine, at least for this ship, seems to be really, really reliable. Though I would like to maybe make a longer bay and have the spinning drives. That'd be cool. Make it a lot easier as well to fly it. So now we're down to 77,000 meters per second. And the time to escape is now a minute. Minute beyond, minute more than what it was when I last checked. So yeah, once again, we're at Eeloo. Look at the mission elapsed time. It's 35 days. Now you probably couldn't go much faster than this. Actually, to be fair, you could probably go twice as fast as what I did. And have enough time to slow down. Because if you started slowing down right when you entered Eeloo's sphere of influence, then you'd have twice as much time as I did. And a little bit more, actually, to slow down. So you could probably go to Eeloo with a departing velocity of 300,000 meters per second and still be able to slow down with margin of error. So you could cut the travel time down to like 15 days. And you could go faster as long as you remember to turn off the drive when you pass through the sphere of influence. You can start slowing down well before you entered Eeloo's sphere of influence. How are they doing in there? They look pretty good for jelly. Because right now we're accelerating at, almost 17 Gs. Eeloo's way off that way somewhere. It was only a few minutes ago that we went past. Now you can't even see it. Down to 50 kilometers per second now. That's how far away we are now. I don't know if you saw when we went past it, but we went past so fast that it didn't have time to render fully. It didn't have time to render under the surface. So that's the mission for another day. Go do a flyby of Eeloo at 300,000 or more meters per second. Do the same thing we just did, but twice as fast. You definitely would not be able to slow down before you exited if you did that, but as long as you wait until you left the sphere of influence or stopped when you're about to pass through, it's no big deal. With this thing, delta V is insignificant. It's irrelevant. Unless, of course, you don't have infinite electric charge. Like I do with all these things. Speaking of which, how's the cooling of those? 8.66%. Not bad. And of course the other consumable I have is the monopropellant, which I can turn off because I won't need those engines anymore. all the monopropellant I have for RCS and the fine control engines here is just a Mark III monopropellant tank. 2100 units. That's all the rocket fuel I have. Actually, I have these two, which are 4 times 50, so 200. No, wait. 4 times... 4 times 50 is 200. Oh yeah, I'm forgetting the RCS up here. Under there. That's where the... There it is. 2100, 200, 100, for a grand total of 2400 units. Which is easily mined just about anywhere. In the future, I'll be able to make versions of this that have the ability to carry a lander or mining equipment or whatever. I'd like to make big ones eventually, really big ones. I have a design that it actually works. To be honest, it's stable. It goes straight-ish. It just it looks great in my opinion. The problem with that design is the pylons that I use to separate the drive from the body. The drive is not integrated into the body like this is in that design. They're on pylons sticking out like that. The problem is the pylons are not strong enough to hold the power of the drive. Oh, by the way, we're almost done. To hold the power of the drive. So they keep snapping. But we're back. We're not gonna escape the solar system anymore. Time to slow down. We're still not captured. Time to slow down more. Still not captured. Time to slow down more. Now we're captured. Now we're gonna wanna go prograde a little bit. You're kidding me. I may want to use the engines for that. Oh, I'm gonna want to wait for the crew to recover first. There we go. We'll take it right in real close. We'll leave it in. And we'll warp down here. 168 days. No. No, I should just use the engine to burn back closer. Point radial in. To be honest, I have no way of knowing if that's where it is or not. We'll just hope that it's that way. I'll accelerate up to that much. That's good. Well, I kind of screwed up a little bit, but okay, I might have screwed up a lot. It's alright, nothing I can't fix. Come on. Might be good to point at the target node, but close enough. Well, almost close enough. There, instead of taking 100-something days to get there, we'll do it in 1. Come on. Come on. Good enough. Now let's see, where is Eeloo? Oh, there's Eeloo. Remember when we came by here a couple of minutes ago? And it was... yeah. went by in a snap. Perfect. And we're in orbit around Eeloo. I'm going to tighten up the orbit a little bit. So it's only going to take a few minutes or an hour or so instead of, you know, a day. And then I'll stop the stream, install Sims, and then all that. drive is shut down. Drop my quick save. Here we are. Ignore that time is inflated by about 50 days or so, because I spent about 50 days out in high orbit of Eeloo, because I'm an idiot. About an hour for an orbit. About 2 hours, looks like, actually. That's fine. And to be honest, if I wanted to go back to Kerbin, or really to anywhere in the Kerbin system, well, unfortunately, none of the planets are on the other side of the system for me right now, so I can't really get an estimate of how long it would take to cross the system. It's a shame. That thing's way out there. That's just debris from failed experiments. Alright, so that's going to probably do it for this stream.